The air in the diner hangs thick with the scent of old coffee and frying bacon. Sunlight streams through the large plate glass windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the lazy afternoon air. It is a place of transit, a pause on a long highway, anonymous and unremarkable. In a corner booth, 5 men sit. They are large men, mountains of leather and denim that seem to shrink the worn vinyl seats. Chrome and steel gleam from their belts and boots. Their vests are a patchwork of road history, declaring them as sentinels. The other patrons give them a wide berth. A family with 2 kids hurries past, the mother pulling her children closer. A pair of truckers at the counter talk in hushed tones, casting nervous glances over their shoulders. The sentinels do not notice, or they do not care. They are an island of quiet intensity in the mundane hum of the diner. Bear, the club president, nurses a black coffee. His hands, scarred and tattooed, dwarf the ceramic mug. His face is a roadmap of hard miles and harder fights, but his eyes are still, watchful. He observes everything. The nervous flutter of the waitress, Brenda, as she tops off their mugs. The way the cook sweats over the grill. The shimmer of heat rising from the asphalt outside. This is their ritual, a moment of calm before the road calls them back. Then the calm shatters. The diner door flies open, crashing against the inside wall with a sound like a gunshot. A small boy stands silhouetted in the doorway. He is maybe 7, maybe 8 years old. His feet are bare, reddened, and dirty. He wears only a pair of thin, cartoon character pajama pants, one knee torn. Tears stream down his face, carving clean tracks through the grime on his cheeks. His small chest heaves with ragged, desperate breaths. For a moment, the entire diner freezes. Forks stop halfway to mouths. Conversazionsdi. The boy's eyes, wide with a terror that seems too big for his small face, dart around the room. They pass over the family, the truckers, the waitress. They land on the corner booth, on the 5 large men in leather. He does not see thugs. He does not see danger. He sees size. He sees strength. A sob escapes his throat, raw and painful. Please, he chokes out, his voice a thin thread of sound. Somebody please help. He takes a staggering step forward. My dad, he cries, his voice gaining a sliver of strength from sheer desperation. He's hurting my mom. The words hang in the silent, bacon-scented air. Brenda the waitress drops a coffee pot. It shatters on the linoleum, the sound unnaturally loud. Before anyone else can react, Bear is moving. Not fast, but with a deliberate, undeniable motion. He slides out of the booth, his sheer presence a physical force. He does not approach the boy. He simply stands, creating a barrier between the child and the door. A silent promise. The other sentinels rise with him. They do not speak. They flank him, a wall of silent, watchful leather. The boy, Leo, looks up at the mountain of a man, his terror warring with a fragile flicker of hope. He feels a strange sense of safety, a feeling he has not known for a very long time. The diner door opens again, this time slowly. A man steps inside, blinking as his eyes adjust to the indoor light. He is the picture of respectability. He wears a pressed polo shirt, clean khaki pants, and expensive-looking loafers. His hair is neatly combed, his face clean-shaven. A warm, apologetic smile is already forming on his lips. Oh, thank goodness, he says, his voice smooth and reassuring like a television commercial. There you are, Leo. You gave me quite a scare. He glances around the room, his smile encompassing everyone. It is a practiced, professional smile. I'm so terribly sorry for this disruption, he says, his tone dripping with paternal concern. My stepson, he has these episodes. Night terrors. He gets confused. The man, Mr. Albright, takes a step toward the boy. Leo flinches, a full-body shudder, and scrambles to hide behind Bear's massive leg. Albright's smile tightens, just for a second. A flicker of annoyance in his eyes before it is smoothed over with more concern. Leo, come on now. Let's not bother these people, he says, his voice gentle but firm. We need to get back on the road. You know we have that appointment. He gestures vaguely, an appeal to the other adults in the room. We're on our way to a special facility. For his condition, it's been a very difficult time for our family. The story is plausible. It is polished. The truckers at the counter relax. The mother in the family booth looks at Albright with sympathy. He is the sane one, the responsible adult. The boy is a problem. Albright reaches for Leo's arm. Come along, son. A hand intercepts his. Bear's hand. It does not grab. It does not squeeze. It simply rests on Albright's forearm, stopping his forward motion completely. The contrast is stark. Albright's clean, manicured hand, and Bear's, which looks like it was carved from granite and inked with stories. The boy said no, Bear says. His voice is low, a gravelly rumble. It is not a shout, but it commands the attention of the entire room. Albright pulls his arm back as if he's been burned. The mask of pleasantry slips for a fraction of a second, revealing cold fury. Excuse me, he says, his voice losing its smooth edge. This is a private family matter. I am his legal guardian. He said you were hurting his mom, Bear states. It is not an accusation. It is a fact, a repetition of the boy's words. He's confused. Albright insists, his voice rising. He is trying to regain control. To paint Bear as the aggressor. He gets fantasies mixed up with reality. His mother and I had a small disagreement, that's all. He's very sensitive. Bear does not respond. He just looks at Albright. His gaze is flat, patient, and dissecting. It is the gaze of a man who has seen every lie humanity has to offer. The other sentinels shift their weight. Not a threat, just a presence. The air grows heavy. You said you're his dad. Another sentinel, a man called Patch, speaks up. His voice is quieter than Bear's, but sharper. A second ago, you said you were his stepson's counselor. Albright sputters. I'm a stepfather. I'm also a family counselor by trade. It's a figure of speech. I'm trying to help him. The lie is clumsy. It hangs in the air, stinking of desperation. The sympathy in the room begins to curdle. The truckers are watching intently now. Brenda, the waitress, has her hand near the phone on the wall. Where's his mom now? Bear asks, his voice still level. She's at home, resting, Albright says, avoiding eye contact. She wasn't feeling well. You said you were on your way to a facility, Patch points out. With the boy, but not the mom. She was going to meet us there. Albright snaps. Look, I don't have to explain myself to a bunch of thugs. He has made a mistake. A fatal one. The temperature in the diner seems to drop 10 degrees. Bear's expression does not change, but something in his eyes hardens. He has been called worse. The word means nothing to him. But the disrespect to the situation, the dismissal of the boy's fear, means everything. Feeling the shift, feeling the unyielding wall of protection in front of him, Leo peeks out from behind Bear's leg. He finds his voice, small but clear in the tense silence. He's lying, Leo whispers. Every head turns to him. He locked her in the blue room. The boy says, his words gaining confidence. In the basement, at the old house behind the trees. He looks up at Bear, his eyes pleading for belief. The key is in the silver car. He put it in the little box. Albright's face goes white. Pure, stark white. He's making things up, he shrieks, his voice high and shrill. The polished professional is gone, replaced by a cornered animal. He watches too many movies. Bear looks down at the boy. Then he looks at his sergeant-at-arms, a lean, wiry man named Blade. Blade is already pulling out his phone. He does not need to be told. He glances at Albright, then at the parking lot. Silver sedan parked funny behind the dumpsters. Got the plate. His thumbs move Mayton over the screen. The Sentinels have their own network. Information travels fast. They have friends in low places and a few in high ones. Brenda, the waitress, steps forward. I saw that car pull in, she says, her voice trembling but determined. He parked way in the back, not like a customer. As she looks at Albright with open disgust. He came in first alone, looked around. Then he went back out. A few minutes later, the boy ran in. She adds another nail to Albright's coffin. The pieces are clicking into place. The picture is becoming horribly clear. Albright sees it. He sees the certainty hardening in their eyes. He sees the escape route closing. "This is ridiculous," he says, trying one last time to bluff his way out. He pulls out a wallet, flashing a laminated ID. "I am a licensed family therapist. My name is Dr. Robert Albright. You are interfering with a custodial situation. You will all be facing charges." His hand shakes. The ID is a shield, but it is made of paper. Blade looks up from his phone. His expression is grim. "Robert Albright," he says, reading from the screen, "has a restraining order against him, filed 2 weeks ago by Sarah Miller, on behalf of herself and her son, Leo Miller." Silence. A thick, damning silence. Leo lets out a small gasp. Hearing his real name, his mother's name, makes it all real. Albright's face crumples. The mask does not just slip, it shatters into 1,000 pieces, revealing the ugly, predatory thing beneath. "You have no right," he hisses, his voice a venomous whisper. "She's unstable. She's poisoning him against me." "The blue room, Mr. Albright," Bear says, his voice like grinding stone. "And the key." The man's composure breaks completely. His eyes dart to the door, to freedom. He makes a sudden, desperate move. Not for the door, but for the boy. A lunge, quick and reptilian. If he can just grab the boy, his only leverage. He never gets close. It is not a punch. It is not a kick. It is simply a movement. Patch steps into his path. A solid, immovable object. Albright crashes into his chest and bounces off as if he has hit a brick wall. Before he can regain his balance, 2 other sentinels, known only as Rook and Tank, are on him. Their movements are practiced, efficient, and devoid of anger. One controls his left arm, the other his right. They use a simple, inescapable compliance hold. Albright gives a choked cry of pain and surprise as he is forced to his knees. His expensive loafers scrape uselessly on the linoleum. His face is pressed against the sticky floor, next to a discarded napkin. The power dynamic has been irrevocably inverted. The respectable man is a groveling mess on the floor of a greasy spoon, held fast by the thugs he's so easily dismissed. The entire event, from his lunge to his capture, takes less than 3 seconds. The family in the booth is staring, the children's eyes wide. The truckers at the counter are on their feet, one of them nodding in slow, profound respect. Brenda is on the phone, her voice clear and steady now. "Yes, hurry." You try to grab the boy. "The bikers have him. They have him." Bear kneels. It is a slow, deliberate movement, his old knees protesting. He lowers himself until he is eye level with the small, trembling boy. The world shrinks to the space between the giant, tattooed man and the terrified child. Leo looks at him, his breathing still hitched with sobs. "You're safe now," Bear says, his voice stripped of its gravel, becoming something softer, something ancient and protective. He does not touch the boy. He gives him that space, that respect. "You were very brave," Bear continues. "Braver than anyone I've ever met. You did the right thing." Tears well up in Leo's eyes again, but these are different. The terror is receding, replaced by a wave of overwhelming relief. The knot of fear that has been lodged in his chest for months begins to dissolve. "My mom," he whispers, the question a fragile prayer. "We're going to find your mom," Bear promises. He looks over at Blade. "Give them the address. The old house behind the trees. Tell them about the blue room. And the basement." Blade is already relaying the information to the dispatcher on the phone. Bear turns his attention back to Leo. "They're going to help her right now. Because of you." A single tear finally escapes and rolls down Leo's cheek. Bear reaches out, slowly, and gently wipes it away with a thumb the size of a sausage. The touch is impossibly gentle. "You're one of us now, kid," Bear says, his voice a quiet vow. "You understand? Sentinels. We look after our own. Nobody will ever hurt you or your mom again." The boy looks at the patch on Bear's vest. A stylized iron shield with a single, watchful eye in the center. He reaches out a small, hesitant hand and touches the worn embroidery. A bond is formed, a silent, unbreakable contract. The wail of sirens grows louder, cutting through the afternoon quiet. 2 squad cars and an unmarked sedan screech to a halt in the gravel lot. Doors fly open. A detective in a rumpled suit, a man named Miller, enters first, his hand near his holster. He takes in the scene in a single, sweeping glance. The bikers calm and watchful. The man pinned to the floor. The small boy being shielded by the largest biker. "What have we got here, Brenda?" he asked the waitress, his voice all business. "He tried to take the boy, Dave," she says, pointing a shaking finger at Albright. "The boy said he was hurting his mother. These gentlemen, they stopped him." Detective Miller's eyes move to the sentinels. He knows of them. He knows their reputation on the street. And he knows their other, unspoken reputation. He approaches Bear, his posture cautious but not hostile. "This the man?" Miller asks. Bear nods. "Robert Albright. There's a restraining order." "We know," Miller says, his radio already crackling with confirmation. "We've been looking for him. He took the boy this morning. We have units on their way to the secondary property now." He looks down at Leo. "Is that where she is, son?" "The old house." Leo, feeling the weight of adult authority, but no longer fearing it, gives a small, firm nod. Miller gestures to his uniformed officers. "Get him up, read him his rights, and find the key to a silver sedan." As the officers haul a protesting, sputtering Albright to his feet, Miller crouches down, creating a triangle of authority and care with Bear and the boy. "You did a good thing, son," Miller says, his voice surprisingly kind. "You saved your mom today." The police lead Albright out. The polished man is gone, replaced by a snarling, pathetic criminal, shouting threats and legal jargon that no one is listening to. The tension in the diner finally breaks. People start breathing again. Paramedics arrive and gently check on Leo, who refuses to move away from Bear's side. He is given a bottle of water and a warm blanket, which he clutches like a shield. An hour later, Detective Miller's phone rings. He listens, nods, and hangs up. He walks back over to the corner booth, where the sentinels have reclaimed their seats, with one small addition. Leo is tucked into the booth between Bear and Patch, sipping his water, his eyes finally losing their haunted look. "They found her," Miller announces to the quiet group. "Just like he said, basement, locked in a storage room. She's dehydrated and has some bruises, but she's alive. She's on her way to the hospital." A collective sigh of relief seems to pass through the men. "She's asking for her son," Miller says. Bear looks down at Leo. "You ready to go see your mom, hero?" Leo looks up, his eyes clear and bright. He nods, a small, brave smile finally touching his lips. At the hospital, the reunion is quiet and emotional. Leo's mother, Sarah, holds him tight, her tears of relief soaking his hair. She looks over her son's head at the 5 imposing men standing silently in the hallway. The nurses had tried to stop them, but Detective Miller had just shaken his head and let them pass. Later, after Leo has fallen asleep in a chair by her bed, Sarah walks out to them. She is pale and bruised, but her eyes are fierce with gratitude. "I don't know what to say," she whispers, her voice hoarse. How can I ever thank you?" Bear just shakes his head. "No thanks necessary, ma'am." He gestures with his chin toward the room where Leo sleeps. "Your boy is the one who did it. He walked through fire to get to you. All we did was open the door." She looks at these men, these angels clad in leather and ink, and she understands. They do not want thanks. They do not want payment. They want the world to be a little more just. They turn and walk away, their boots echoing softly on the polished hospital floor, leaving safety and peace in their wake. Months pass. Summer turns to fall, then to the hard bite of winter. A package arrives at the Sentinels Clubhouse, a repurposed garage on the industrial edge of town. It is addressed simply to the guardians at the diner. Patch brings it to Bear, who is cleaning a carburetor at his workbench. Bear wipes his hands on a rag and carefully opens the cardboard box. Inside, there is no money. There is no reward. There is a framed school photograph. It shows a young boy with a wide, happy, gap-toothed smile. His hair is neatly combed, and he wears a bright blue sweater. There is no trace of the terrified, barefoot child who burst into a roadside diner. It is just Leo, a happy kid. Beneath the photo is a drawing, done in crayon on construction paper. It depicts a giant, smiling bear surrounded by 5 roaring motorcycles. Above them, the sun shines brightly. Tucked into the corner of the frame is a small, folded note. Bear carefully unfolds it. The handwriting is a mother's. "He calls this one my guardians," it reads. He has it on his wall. He's doing so well in school. He's joined the soccer team. He sleeps through the night now. Albright took a plea deal. He'll be away for a very long time. We moved to a new town, a new start. We are safe. We are happy. Thank you. Not for what you did, but for who you are. Thank you for seeing my son. Bear reads the note twice. He doesn't smile, but the lines around his eyes soften. He carefully places the note back in the box and holds up the frame. He walks over to a cluttered bulletin board, covered in maps, repair notes, and a few faded photographs. He clears a space right in the center. He hangs the picture of the smiling boy and his crayon drawing. It becomes a new centerpiece, a new patch, a testament. The other Sentinels gather around, looking at the picture in silence. Their code is not written in bylaws. It is written in moments like these, in the quiet affirmation that their intimidating presence can be a shield for the defenseless. Their purpose is reaffirmed. Bear claps Patch on the shoulder. "Let's ride," he says, his voice a low rumble. They walk out into the crisp winter air, the rumble of their motorcycles soon shaking the cold ground. They ride out onto the open highway, heading toward the horizon. A rumbling, leather-clad promise, searching not for trouble, but for the next person who needs a guardian, the next soul who needs to be seen.